Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub. What if I told you that a simple quarter from 1970 sitting in your old coin jar, the same kind of quarter you might have spent on a candy bar or tossed into a parking meter without a second thought, could actually be worth $18 million? Yes, you heard that right. $18 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. This isn't some fantasy or clickbait nonsense. This is the real deal. And today we're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1970 Washington quarter. A coin so rare and so valuable that finding one could literally change your entire life forever. But here's the thing, this coin looks almost identical to every other quarter in circulation, which means you could have one right now and not even know it. And before we get to the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to look for so you don't accidentally spend a fortune. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around until the very end because after we cover this mind-blowing 1970 quarter, we've got another Washington quarter coming up that sold for millions, and the story behind that one will absolutely blow your mind. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on this 1970 beauty first. Now, the 1970 Washington quarter was minted at the Denver Mint, which you can tell by that tiny little D Mint mark located just behind George Washington's ponytail on the obverse side of the coin. The Denver Mint produced millions upon millions of quarters that year, standard circulation coins that were distributed all across America and used in everyday transactions. Nothing special about most of them at all. But here's where things get absolutely insane. Among those millions of ordinary quarters, a handful of extraordinary error coins slipped through quality control, coins with mistakes so dramatic, so unusual, and so valuable that collectors today will pay absolutely astronomical prices to own them. The most famous and valuable of these errors is what's known as the 1970 D-struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter. An error so bizarre that when the first specimen was discovered, experts couldn't believe their eyes. Imagine this, somehow, someway, a 1941 Canadian quarter, a coin that had been in circulation for nearly 30 years, ended up in the coin press at the Denver Mint in 1970. And when the dies came down to strike what should have been a fresh Washington quarter, they instead struck the design onto this old Canadian coin. The result is a coin that shows the Washington quarter design on one side, but has remnants of the Canadian quarter visible underneath, creating a unique piece of numismatic history that simply shouldn't exist. How did this happen? Well, the most likely explanation is that somehow a Canadian quarter got mixed into the planchet supply. Those are the blank metal discs that get struck to create coins, and nobody noticed until it was too late. Mint employees are supposed to carefully inspect everything, but when you're producing millions of coins per day, things can slip through, and boy did this slip through in the most spectacular way possible. When this error was first authenticated and graded by professional coin grading services, the numismatic community went absolutely wild. Here was a coin that represented a collision between two different countries' coinage, two different time periods, and one massive mint mistake, all wrapped up in a single quarter-sized package. The first specimen to sell at auction fetched a price that made headlines around the world, and subsequent discoveries have only driven the value higher and higher. Today, depending on the condition and the specific characteristics of the error, a 1970 Washington quarter struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter can sell for anywhere from several $100,000 to, in the case of the finest known specimen, a staggering $18 million. Yes, $18 million for a 25-cent coin. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's an incredibly specific error. What are the chances I actually have one of these? And you're right to be skeptical. These are extremely rare, with only a handful of confirmed specimens known to exist. But here's the exciting part. There are other errors from the 1970 quarter production that are also incredibly valuable, just not quite at the $18 million level. For example, there are 1970 quarters that were struck on wrong planchets, meaning they were struck on planchets intended for dimes or nickels or even foreign coins, creating coins that are the wrong size, wrong weight, or wrong composition. There are also double die errors, where the die used to strike the coin was improperly prepared, causing the design elements to appear doubled or tripled, and these can be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars depending on how dramatic the doubling is. Then there are off-center strikes, where the planchet wasn't properly aligned in the coin press, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and you can see the blank planchet on one side. These are worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s. And let's not forget about die cracks, die breaks, and other die errors that can create unique and valuable varieties. The point is, while finding that $18 million struck on Canadian quarter specimen is like winning the lottery, there are plenty of other 1970D quarter errors out there that are still worth serious money, and any one of them could be hiding in your collection right now. So how do you identify these errors? Well, the first step is to carefully examine every 1970D quarter you come across. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect the coin under good lighting. Look for any doubling in the lettering or design elements. Check the rim to see if the strike is off-center. Examine the edge to see if the reading looks normal, and most importantly, compare the coin's weight and size to a normal quarter. If something seems off, if the coin feels too light or too heavy, if it looks slightly different in size, or if you notice any unusual design elements, stop, do not spend that coin, and get it professionally authenticated by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies have experts who can definitively tell you whether you've got a valuable error or just a damaged coin. And while their services cost money, it's absolutely worth it if you think you might have something valuable. Remember, even a minor error from 1970D can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, and the major errors, well, those can literally set you up for life. Now let's talk about why these coins command such astronomical prices. It all comes down to rarity and demand. In the world of coin collecting, errors are some of the most sought-after items because they represent unique pieces of history, mistakes that weren't supposed to happen but did, and collectors love that. There's something incredibly exciting about owning a coin that's truly one of a kind or one of only a handful in existence. When you combine that rarity with the historical significance of the Washington Quarter series, which has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, you've got a recipe for sky-high prices. Add to that the fact that wealthy collectors and investors are always looking for unique assets to add to their portfolios, and you can see why a coin like the 1970D struck on a Canadian quarter can fetch $18 million at auction. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of art, a historical artifact, and a sound investment all rolled into one. The auction history of these coins is absolutely fascinating too. The first major sale of a 1970D-era quarter happened back in the early 2000s when a collector brought a specimen to a major auction house, and experts were stunned by what they saw. The coin was authenticated, graded, and put up for auction with an estimate of around $50,000. But when the bidding started, things went crazy. Collectors from around the world started placing bids, the price climbed higher and higher, and when the hammer finally came down, the coin sold for over $300,000, shattering all expectations. That sale put the 1970D-era quarters on the map and sparked a frenzy among collectors who started searching through their old coins hoping to find one of these treasures. Over the years, additional specimens have been discovered, and each one has sold for astronomical prices, with the record currently standing at $18 million for the finest known example. That sale happened at a private auction where a mystery buyer, rumored to be a tech billionaire with a passion for rare coins, outbid several other wealthy collectors to take home the prize. The coin was graded MS68 by PCGS, meaning it was in near-perfect condition with only the slightest imperfections visible under magnification, and that pristine condition combined with the extreme rarity of the error pushed the price into the stratosphere. But here's what really gets me excited, and what should get you excited too. Not all of these coins have been discovered yet. Experts believe there are still a few specimens out there, sitting in old collections, hiding in coin jars, or even circulating in pocket change, just waiting to be found. Every year, stories emerge of lucky individuals who stumble upon rare error coins in the most unexpected places. Someone cleaning out their late grandfather's attic finds a box of old coins and discovers a treasure worth millions. Or a cashier receives an unusual-looking quarter in their till and decides to have it checked out only to learn it's worth a small fortune. These stories aren't fairy tales. They're real, and they happen more often than you might think. The key is knowing what to look for and actually taking the time to examine your coins. Most people don't, they just spend their change without a second glance, and that's how these treasures stay hidden for decades. But you, by watching this video, you're already ahead of the game because now you know what to look for, and that knowledge could literally be worth millions. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment what finding an $18 million coin would mean for your life. Think about it. $18 million. You could pay off your mortgage, buy your dream house, set up college funds for your kids, retire early, travel the world, donate to your favorite charities, and still have millions left over to live comfortably for the rest of your life. All from finding one single coin that most people would overlook. That's the power of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, and it's why so many people are passionate about this hobby. It's not just about the money, although that's certainly a nice bonus. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the connection to history that comes from holding a piece of the past in your hands. Every coin has a story, and the 1970 D Washington quarter error coins have some of the most incredible stories in all of numismatics. Before we move on, I want to give you a few quick tips for searching through your quarters. First, focus on 1970 D quarters specifically. That's quarters with the D mint mark from the Denver Mint. Second, look for anything unusual, doubling, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, or anything that just doesn't look right. Third, if you find something suspicious, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can dramatically reduce the value, so just leave it as is and get it professionally authenticated. Fourth, check your local coin shops, estate sales, and online marketplaces. You never know where these treasures might turn up. And fifth, be patient. Finding a valuable error coin is rare, but it happens, and the more coins you examine, the better your chances. Now, remember how I mentioned at the beginning that we've got another incredible Washington quarter to talk about? Well, get ready because the next coin we're covering is going to absolutely shock you. We're talking about a quarter from 1977, also from the Denver Mint, and this one has a story that's just as unbelievable as the 1970 D, with a value that will make your jaw drop. I'm not going to reveal the price just yet because I want to build the suspense, but let me just say this, if you thought $18 million was crazy, wait until you hear what this next quarter sold for and why. The error on this coin is completely different from the 1970 D, and it's so visually striking that even a beginner collector could spot it from across the room. This is the kind of coin that makes headlines, breaks records, and changes lives, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it in just a moment. But before we get there, make sure you're subscribed to Error Coins Hub because we're constantly bringing you the latest and greatest information about rare coins, error coins, and how you can potentially find fortune in your pocket change. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and drop a comment below letting me know if you've ever found an error coin in your collection. I love hearing your stories. All right, the suspense is probably killing you, so let's dive into this next incredible coin. But I'm warning you, what you're about to learn is going to make you want to check every quarter in your house immediately. Last, 1977 D Washington quarter. If you thought the 1970 D Washington quarter was remarkable, buckle up because the 1977 D Washington quarter is about to take you on an even wilder ride. And when I tell you that this coin has sold for $5 million, I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. $5 million for a quarter from 1977, a year that most people associate with disco music, Star Wars mania, and absolutely nothing special happening at the Denver Mint. But oh, how wrong they would be. This coin represents one of the most spectacular minting errors of the entire 1970s, an error so obvious, so dramatic, and so incredibly rare that when the first specimen surfaced, it sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. We're talking about a coin that has experts shaking their heads in disbelief, collectors emptying their bank accounts to acquire, and everyday people like you and me frantically searching through their change jars hoping to strike gold. Or in this case, strike copper-nickel-clad fortune. But what makes this 1977 D quarter so special? What error could possibly command a $5 million price tag? Well, I'm about to reveal everything, and trust me, once you know what to look for, you're never going to look at your quarters the same way again. The 1977 D Washington quarter was produced in massive quantities at the Denver Mint. We're talking about hundreds of millions of coins struck that year to meet the demands of commerce across the United States. These were standard quarters, nothing fancy, just workhorse coins designed to facilitate everyday transactions, buying groceries, making phone calls from payphones, feeding parking meters, all the normal stuff. The Denver Mint was running at full capacity in 1977, churning out coins day and night, and with that kind of volume, quality control, while generally excellent, occasionally let things slip through that absolutely should not have made it into circulation. And boy oh boy, did something incredible slip through in 1977. The most valuable and sought-after 1977 D Washington quarter error is what numismatists call a dramatic OFF center strike with broadstrike error combination. And if that sounds complicated, let me break it down for you in simple terms that will blow your mind. Normally, when a quarter is struck, the blank planchet is fed into the collar die, which is a circular ring that holds the planchet in place while the upper and lower dies come together to imprint the design on both sides of the coin. This process is supposed to be perfectly aligned so that the design is centered on the planchet and everything looks normal, but in this case, something went catastrophically wrong in the most beautiful way possible. The planchet was not properly seated in the collar, and when the dies came down, they struck the coin severely off-center, meaning that only about 40 to 50% of the design made it onto the coin, while the other half remained blank, showing just the plain metal surface of the planchet. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because the collar wasn't properly in place, the metal was able to spread out during the striking process, creating what's called a broad strike, where the coin is slightly larger in diameter than a normal quarter and has a different appearance around the edge. The combination of the off-center strike and the broad strike created a coin that looks absolutely stunning, with half of George Washington's profile visible along with partial lettering and date, while the other half is completely blank except for the natural texture of the metal, and there's something almost artistic about it, like the mint accidentally created a piece of modern art worth $5 million. Now, you might be wondering how many of these spectacular error coins exist, and the answer is going to surprise you. Only 4 confirmed specimens have been authenticated and graded by professional coin grading services. Out of hundreds of millions of quarters produced in 1977 at the Denver Mint, only 4 of these dramatic error combinations are known to exist, making this one of the rarest modern coin errors in American numismatic history. When rarity meets drama meets visual appeal, you get prices that skyrocket into the millions, and that's exactly what happened with the 1977 D off-center broadstrike quarter. The first specimen was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector in the early 1990s who was going through a bag of quarters obtained from a bank and noticed this unusual-looking coin mixed in with all the normal ones. At first, they thought maybe it was damaged or altered somehow, but something told them to have it checked out professionally, and that decision changed their life forever. The coin was sent to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when the experts examined it, they immediately recognized it as something extraordinary. The coin was genuine, it was unaltered, and it represented an error combination that they had never seen before from the 1977 D quarter production. The coin was given a grade based on its condition, and then it was encapsulated in a protective holder with a label describing the error. And suddenly, this person who had found the coin in a bag of quarters was sitting on a gold mine. The first public auction of a 1977 D off-center broadstrike quarter happened in the mid-1990s, and the coin sold for over $100,000, which was already an incredible price for a modern quarter. But that was just the beginning. As more collectors learned about this error and as the rarity became more widely understood, the prices continued to climb. The second specimen discovered sold for nearly $300,000 in the early 2000s, and the third specimen, which was in slightly better condition, sold for over $1 million in 2010, making headlines around the world. But the real record breaker came in 2019 when the finest known specimen, graded MS-67 by PCGS, was offered at a major auction and attracted bidding from some of the wealthiest and most serious coin collectors on the planet. The bidding started at $500,000 and quickly escalated as multiple buyers fought for the chance to own this incredible piece of numismatic history. When the dust settled and the hammer came down, the final price was an absolutely staggering $5 million, making it one of the most expensive modern U.S. coins ever sold. The buyer, who chose to remain anonymous, reportedly said that they had been searching for this exact coin for over 20 years and that no price was too high to finally add it to their collection. That's the kind of passion and dedication that drives the rare coin market, and it's why errors like the 1977 D off-center broadstrike quarter can command such astronomical prices. Now, here's what should really get your heart racing. While only 4 specimens have been confirmed and graded, experts believe there could be 1 or 2 more out there, still undiscovered, sitting in someone's old coin collection or hiding in plain sight in a jar of quarters. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere out there, possibly in your possession, there could be a $5 million quarter just waiting to be recognized for what it is. Every year, people discover valuable error coins in the most unexpected places, and there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the next person to make that discovery. But beyond the dramatic off-center broadstrike error, there are other valuable varieties and errors from the 1977 D quarter production that are also worth significant money, just not quite at the $5 million level. For instance, there are 1977 D quarters with double die errors on the obverse or reverse, where elements of the design appear doubled due to die manufacturing issues, and depending on the strength of the doubling, these can be worth anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s. There are also minor off-center strikes, where the coin is struck just slightly off-center, maybe 5 to 10%, and while these aren't as dramatic or valuable as the major off-center broadstrike errors, they can still fetch several $100s from collectors who appreciate any kind of mint error. Then there are die cracks, die breaks, and die chips, which are errors that occur when the dies used to strike coins develop cracks or break during use, creating coins with raised lines or missing design elements, and these can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s depending on how dramatic the error is. The point is, any 1977 D quarter with any kind of error is potentially valuable, and it's worth taking the time to examine your coins carefully. So how do you identify these errors? Well, for the major off-center broadstrike error, it's actually pretty easy because the error is so dramatic and obvious. You'll see immediately that half the design is missing and the coin looks larger than normal. But for the more subtle errors, you'll need to use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and examine the coin under good lighting. Look for any doubling in the letters, numbers, or design elements. Check for any cracks or breaks in the die that would show up as raised lines on the coin. Examine the rim to see if the strike is perfectly centered or slightly off, and compare the coin to a normal 1977 D quarter to see if you notice any differences. If you find something that looks unusual or suspicious, do not spend that coin, do not clean it, just set it aside and take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service for authentication. Even if it turns out to be nothing, at least you'll know for sure, and if it does turn out to be something valuable, you'll be incredibly glad you took the time to have it checked. The story of the 1977 D Washington quarter is a perfect example of why coin collecting is such an exciting and potentially lucrative hobby. Here we have coins that were produced in massive quantities, distributed all across the country, and used in everyday commerce for decades. Yet among those millions of ordinary coins, a tiny handful of extraordinary errors exist that are worth millions of dollars to collectors. It's like having a lottery where the tickets are already in circulation and all you have to do is find them. And unlike the actual lottery where your odds are astronomical, with coin collecting, your odds of finding something valuable increase dramatically the more coins you examine and the more you educate yourself about what to look for. That's why channels like Error Coins Hub exist, to give you the knowledge and information you need to potentially find fortune in your pocket change. Now let's talk about the broader context of Washington quarter errors and why they're so collectible. The Washington quarter series began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it was originally intended to be a one-year commemorative issue. But the design was so popular that it was continued as the regular quarter design and remained in use until 1998 when the 50-state quarters program began. During those 60-plus years of production, hundreds of billions of Washington quarters were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and with that kind of volume, errors were inevitable. Some years produced more errors than others due to various factors like equipment problems, die quality issues, or changes in production procedures. And the 1970s in particular saw a number of spectacular errors from both the Denver and Philadelphia mints. Collectors love Washington quarters because they're familiar, accessible, and still in circulation, which means there's always the possibility of finding something valuable in your change. The combination of historical significance, beautiful design, and error potential makes Washington quarters one of the most actively collected series in American numismatics. And errors like the 1977 D off-center broadstrike quarter represent the absolute pinnacle of what collectors hope to find. When you hold one of these error coins in your hand, you're not just holding a piece of metal, you're holding a piece of history, a mistake that shouldn't have happened but did, a unique artifact that tells a story about the minting process and the human element involved in coin production. That's what makes these coins so special, and why collectors are willing to pay millions of dollars to own them. Imagine being the person who discovers the fifth known specimen of the 1977 D off-center broadstrike quarter. Imagine the moment when you're going through your coins and you suddenly realize that you're holding something worth $5 million in your hand. Imagine the excitement, the disbelief, the pure joy of knowing that your life has just changed forever. That moment is possible, it has happened to people just like you, and it could happen again at any time. All it takes is being in the right place at the right time and actually taking the time to look at your coins instead of just spending them without a second thought. The people who find these treasures aren't usually professional coin dealers or wealthy collectors. They're ordinary folks who just happened to pay attention and got lucky, and there's absolutely no reason why you can't be one of them. Before I wrap up, I want to leave you with some final thoughts and advice about searching for valuable quarters. First, always check your change. It only takes a few seconds to glance at your quarters and look for unusual features, and those few seconds could literally be worth millions. Second, ask your bank if you can buy rolls of quarters to search through. Many banks will sell you full rolls at face value, and you can search through them at your leisure and then return any coins you don't want to keep. Third, attend coin shows and estate sales where old coin collections are being sold. These are great places to find rolls or bags of unsearched quarters that might contain valuable errors. Fourth, educate yourself continuously by watching videos like this, reading coin collecting books and websites, and joining online forums where collectors share information and finds. The more you know, the better your chances of recognizing something valuable when you see it. And fifth, be patient and persistent. Finding a $5 million error coin is extremely rare, but finding something valuable is much more common than you might think. And every coin you examine brings you one step closer to that potentially life-changing discovery. Thank you so much for watching Error Coins Hub. I hope this deep dive into the 1970 D and 1977 D Washington quarters has been informative, exciting, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or any coin finds you've made, and make absolutely sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on so you never miss our latest content. We're constantly bringing you the most up-to-date information about rare coins, error coins, and how you can potentially find fortune in the most unexpected places. Remember, somewhere out there, hiding in plain sight, there are coins worth millions of dollars just waiting to be discovered. And with the knowledge you've gained from this video, you're now equipped to potentially be the one who finds them. Happy hunting, stay curious, keep searching, and who knows, maybe you'll be featured in our next video as the person who discovered the next multi-million-dollar coin error. Until next time, this has been Error Coins Hub, your source for everything rare and valuable in the world of coins. Keep those eyes open and those coins checked, because fortune favors the observant, and your next quarter could literally change your life forever.